Well, there's Dan sitting down as we start our session. Look at you.
That same technical problem occurred. You can hear me though, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey. So, hi, I'm David H. Lawrence the 17th. That's Dan O'Day. And you can tell that because the technical gods have placed our name just at the very bottom of our screen. Whatever you're doing to turn up your volume, please turn it down, Dan, because I'm hearing myself coming back.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, all good. So we're here today for a couple of reasons. Number one is we didn't have anything better to do on a Thursday afternoon than meet with you about audiobooks and ACX and the master class that we teach. Speaking of which, if you want information on it as we wend our way through things, acxmasterclass.com/go. And again, I can still hear myself, Dan. So if you can turn down the volume a little bit on your speakers, that'd be great. Just got finished doing a session for SAG-AFTRA Foundation about audiobooks, which was great. So welcome, those of you that were at that session and so on. Dan, one of the things that we wanted to talk about today was not just the class, but also this notion of AI. It's been rearing its ugly head for years now as it's going to take away all the work of audiobook narrators.
Yeah.
And I don't want to put my head in the sand when it comes to any threat to my ability to make money or to have a career or to be an actor. And I've been watching it, and I wonder whether it's time yet to be absolutely thunderstruck, scared.
Time to panic and desperately look for another vocation?
I don't know. I was thinking of being an auto repair mechanic in Paducah, Kentucky, but I make fun of those guys so often that
it's understandable. It's also a little bit. By the way, feedback okay? Volume okay now?
I don't know. I'm not talking. Now I can hear myself a little bit. Yeah, but not bad.
Wow.
I don't know.
Okay, just for the record, it's on David's end. Let's see, between the two of us, I'm the techie. No, wait, I got that back
there. Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I get a little upset hearing people say AI has killed the audiobook narration industry for human beings.
Wait, they say that?
Yes. Don't you hang out on Reddit and various forums? And
I not only hang out on Reddit and various forums on Facebook and Instagram and chat, Clubhouse, and I hear people saying this.
What about MySpace?
MySpace all the time. MySpace, Orkut.
All the kids, yeah.
That's where the kids are. No, I do this, but here's the thing. I also read the reviews that AI narrated books get on Audible. I listen to AI narrated books, and I try to listen not with a narrator's viewpoint, but with a consumer's viewpoint. I love audiobooks. I love listening to audiobooks. And I get why the reviews are so awful, but I also know that there are some people like, the staff at 11 Labs who are hoping that AI is going to kill the marketplace for, human narrators. I don't see it happening, not nearly as quickly as some people think.
Yeah, it's the time factor that I think people are dramatically exaggerating. Sometime in the future, a lot of audiobook narration jobs are going to go to really high quality AI, and they're going to sound good. We're not there, and it's not tomorrow. But certainly.
How do you feel saying that, Dan? How do you feel saying that? And would you feel differently if you yourself narrated audiobooks?
I don't know if I would feel differently. I know that because of our class, David and I teach a class called the ACX Master Class. Coincidentally, for audiobook narrators. There are a whole lot of people I care about, and a whole lot of people I interact with on a daily basis in our mastermind group that I hear from via email. And I get a little upset at hearing somebody say those guys are going to be out of work tomorrow when it ain't true. Now, again, there's going to be AI is definitely a disruptor for audiobooks,
Yep.
but it's not today. It's not tomorrow. I can't tell you when it's going to be.
Yep.
But with people who say, well, there's so many books now flooding the market done by AI. Yeah, and they sound lousy. Yeah, they do. And none of those took work away from professional paid narrators. You've got kind of two boxes that they come from. One is scammers. They churn out literally 100 crappy audiobooks per week.
That
And they
sounds
got
a
this
little
whole,
judgy, Dan.
oh, no. I mean, intentionally, seriously. It's,
Yeah.
It's funny. Hearing people talk, hearing some people who've been on ACX say that you can't even tell which is the good stuff because there's so much crap. We have researched and tested, and we have found it's pretty easy to identify the fakes. The ones that are there to rip somebody off, whether it's you or somebody down the line. But that's not hard to spot. And so the market's been flooded with just genuine scams all the way around. They crank them out. They've got this whole system of that nobody touches, and it's to make money. And I don't even understand all the ways in which they make money. The other is that you have authors, you have rights holders, but specifically authors who really are too cheap, are really not that professional about their work. And if they have to pay, anything for an audio ad, who needs it? I haven't read their work. I'm going to guess their quality level tends to be a little lower than those who care more, but you're hearing some prejudice here. But that's where a huge bulk of the work that is being snapped up by AI goes to authors who would not otherwise get on the platform because they're not going to pay.
Yeah. I think the way I describe it to people is AI has taken some work, but work that likely you wouldn't have wanted anyway. Low pay, poor quality, short, not likely to sell very well. So yeah, and in addition, the actual work itself, very different from the way computer generated voices sounded in the 80s or 90s, but still requiring massaging and the addition of something. Do you know what emotion tags are, Dan?
I can guess, but I don't know.
It's like when you bold something in Microsoft Word, in the back end, Microsoft Word is putting a tag before the word and the tag after the word, and everything in between is bold, right?
Right.
With emotion tags, you're putting before a passage and after a passage, sad/sad. So it's sad at the beginning and then it stops being sad. And there's no nuance to it. There's no guidance to it, etc. And this is work that they didn't expect to have to do with AI. It's with AI is supposed to know what to do automatically, and it doesn't. And these emotion tags are creating so much work that it almost doesn't pay to not use a human that you could just say, hey, could you make that a little bit more plaintive? And then they do. So
That's a great example, because those tags are used if you use some workaround. If you want to have something appear in bold on a platform that doesn't easily let you use bold type. Oh, there's a way to get around it. And bold, a couple of asterisks on either side, that means bold. And there's no question. There's no, well, how bold? No, it's bold. It's binary,
yeah,
bold or it's not bold. But simply saying sad,
yeah,
does that mean in tears? Does
sure.
that mean feeling sorry for someone? Hey, there are 100 levels there. And one day, yeah, I think AI will get there, but we sure are not there yet.
Yeah. So the ACX Master Class is a class that Dan and I have been teaching since 2014 when we both arrived at the Fat Burger in, what was it?
Woodland Hills.
Woodland Hills, of course, because that's the best Fat Burger. Um, we went there and Dan said, "What's this ACX Masterclass thing?" And then when we were talking about it, well, your reaction was kind of like, "This can't be true."
It Before we sat down to lunch, I had never heard of ACX, literally. So I didn't say, "What's this ACX Masterclass thing?" Somehow we got talking, and you had told me you had some ideas, and so you started talking about this platform. You ever heard of ACX? No, what's that? And so David explained it to me, and it was like either like a sketch or it's like a commercial campaign. I actually wrote a commercial campaign that I never thought I'd have a tagline, but I had I never thought I'd have a catchphrase, but on a low level, a catchphrase came out of it. The campaign was done by Ed Asner, and what he kept saying was, "What's the catch?" to the announcer, and that's what I kept saying to David. So, okay, it's another platform. So you go on there with a bunch of other people, and well, you subscribe monthly. No, no, it doesn't cost anything to. I get it. So you got to pay a fee for every audition that you submit. Is that no? And I'm going through all these things that I'm familiar with from pay to play sites. Um, so what? They take a percentage of the work you book, and I'm just running out of questions. And I don't know if you recall this, but I said to David, I said, I must be so far out of the loop that I no longer know what's going on in the world because I never heard of ACX. And obviously, everyone who is interested in audiobooks, everyone who is doing voiceover, but they've thought about audiobooks, or going on radio, and everybody must know about this. And I really meant it. I thought, oh God, I better retire. And David said, no, it's pretty new. It's only a couple years old. And really, and the more we talked, the more excited I became. I don't know about David. David was into the hamburger and the
I was
double
working
side
the
of fries.
platform. I was very excited about it. But yes, I
Oh
was into my hamburger, okay? And
yeah,
to be fair, it was a double cheeseburger.
yeah,
But
and
what happened out of that was great. And that was
yeah,
that Dan,
and so bottom line is, well, let's do a class. If this is as good as you say, if
yeah,
if this really is opening a doorway that has not been open to people who want to do audiobooks before, let's do it.
yeah.
And we jumped into it. And I remember I got home and I sat down and I wrote like 100 questions for you. And a couple hours later, I get a book of David's answers. I thought, okay, there's a whole lot of detail about this. David really understands this stuff inside out. You had explained to me in the lunch that really the the secret key for at least for our class that became for our class, the secret for you is you had come up with a much faster way of editing that is entirely appropriate for audiobooks. And this is in a world, for anyone watching this, if when you have heard people say, oh, believe me, you don't want to get involved in recording and editing. Oh my God, it's such a headache. And I'm an old pro, I use Pro Tools. I can do punch and roll in my sleep, and it's a nightmare. And I don't know how David did it, because he's had some bad ideas in the past, but this was a heck of an idea.
None that I've had to
David,
serve time for, Dan.
say again?
None that I've had to serve time for, like some people on this live
Okay,
stream.
unfortunately, we don't have time to go into that. Sounds interesting, but let's keep going.
Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah, the stair-step method, which we teach in the class, is designed to minimize the ratio between the number of hours that you work on audiobooks and the number of hours of finished work that those audiobooks end up producing. And Dan has a way of phrasing this. Is it your accrued assets? Is that the...
Oh, yeah. Well, the accrued assets has to do with if you already have investigated or perhaps been on the ACX platform yourself, then you probably know that ACX currently has three ways that a narrator can be paid. One is a flat fee per finished hour, that you set your own fee. If somebody wants to pay it, they do. The other is royalty share, and the other is a hybrid royalty share. But royalty share simply means which is what most narrators on ACX apparently are getting. Royalty share means you don't get paid anything up front. You do all the work that's required. And at least for the next 7 years, you and the author receive the identical percentage of sales as divvied out by Audible and Amazon. So right now, for example, if you do strictly audio royalty share, the narrator and the author or the rights holder, which might be a publisher or might be an estate that owns the rights, whatever, they both get 20%. And that might change. Do you remember when it did change?
Well, it does change based on how your sales are. It can go all the way up to 45% each. But it used to be more. The adjustment was made by ACX probably 8 years ago to go from 25% to 20%. This is a revenue share, and it's pretty standard in the world of .coms, right? And I remember presenting this to the union when it first popped up, and they were like, "Oh, we don't do revenue share. We want to make sure we have guaranteed income." And I'm like, okay. I was looking forward to it, and I have clearly made more money on revenue share over the years than I would have had I been paid a flat rate at the very beginning. Certainly the rates that were being paid at the time, minimums by the union per finished hour. So yeah, just so you know, the ACX Master Class is given at least once a year. Has been for the last 10 years. This is the time. Dan's threatened to go on a cruise this summer, so I'm not sure we're going to do this this year in the summertime. But if you want to,
the government has threatened to put me on a cruise, actually.
Oh, okay, all right.
Some kind of one-way deal.
That's true, and never come home. But if you want to take care of it, just know that our registration for the ACX Master Class closes tomorrow night as we're recording this. Friday night, January 30th at 9 p.m. Pacific time. So if you want to jump in, now's the time to do it. And if you have questions or comments, and you're either watching this live as we have people who are doing, or if you are watching the replay, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to know where you're watching from, and I'd love to know the thing that is most concerning to you about audiobook narration. What has stopped you, if you're not doing audiobook narration, from moving forward and doing so? Is it the fear of doing too much work and not enough money? Is it not knowing how to do the technology, how to do the recording and the editing and so on? Is it the scams that are on ACX? What is it that is really stopping you from moving forward and doing what you want to do? I'd love to know that. In fact, you
And,
found these things online,
well,
right, Dan?
yeah, but before you, because you asked a question that I don't think we really got to the meat of it, accrued assets. Um, the people who have told you that there is no way to make real money strictly on royalty share on ACX are mistaken. Now, I'm not saying that that's the best way that you know, hop on a ACX. If you take our class, I expect you to be doing per finished hour very quickly, and as soon as you've got as much work as you can handle, I'm going to insist that you raise your minimum rates. You know, like there's no excuse for a narrator saying, "I just got so much work, I don't know what I'm going to do." Yeah, what you do is you raise your rates, and 20% of your clients you say goodbye to. But so with, although I'm not pushing royalty share, what we discovered in our class is we have I don't know if we have a lot of people who entered the class never having done an audiobook. I'm thinking of two students who are in our first or second class in particular who were really wary of the technical stuff. They had never been in broadcasting, never talked into a microphone, nothing. And they were just really understandably terrified of the idea of they're going to do this all by themselves at home. And so they started out, well, first they learned, oh gosh, this is easy to do with David's tear-step method. That's easy. Once they got past that fear, which was about week 3, I think, is when we teach it. Then they started booking titles, and most of them, I think, at first did book royalty share, but we have a number of people who they booked royalty share titles. They chose their titles wisely, and we teach you how to do that. We teach you how to really kind of research the author and the publisher and the market. And I'm not talking about a day's worth of research. It's not that hard, but they chose wisely. And you probably know some of the people I'm thinking of, David, after the first 2 or 3 years of their careers, they stopped doing royalty share altogether. Now, all they do is per finished hour at a fairly high rate. But accrued assets comes into play this way. Those royalty share books that they recorded 7, 8, 10 years ago, because they chose wisely, they're still selling. They might never have been a bestseller, but they are still selling.
Yeah.
And if David, if it's okay, I want to give you a little magic tip to narrators if you're going to be on ACX. It's it's really wonderful to become what we call the narrator of choice for the author who has a series of books, an ongoing series of books. And we've got, a lot of students who fit that category. And I know the one that we're both thinking of more than anybody else took our very first class, and he can't, he's done 13 book series, and each one is a separate project. Well, here's the deal. When that author comes out with the next book and this narrator is hired to narrate it at his high per finished hour rate now, people who hear the audiobook or read the book and it's their first exposure to this series, what are they going to do? And they like it. What are they going to do? I really love that audiobook.
Yeah.
Well, what else is in that series? Well, if it's a 13-book series and you recorded 4 or 5 of them back in the days when you were still doing a royalty share, guess what? You're making money. And so I don't know if anyone watching, if you saw any of the videos that we released this past week, we showed what's it called, David, in the back end for a narrator, the financial stuff. I'm blanking out the
Sales
word.
dashboard.
Yeah. the sales dashboard. We got screenshots of the sales dashboard showing from year to year to year for some narrators. And it's, and these are people who have not done a royalty share book in years. And so the sales dashboard, when it shows how much the narrator has been paid, it only shows royalty share because the per finished hour is something that you negotiated with the rights holder. And
Yeah, it's not
ACX,
dependent on sales.
yeah. So when you look at a narrator's dashboard, sales dashboard, it's showing you the amount of money that has been earned from royalty share books, period. And so you see, like the first year it was $1,700, and the second year it's 3,000, and because they recorded a few more. And now we've got people who haven't done royalty share in years, but every year, and if you look at the videos, you'll see every year it climbs. And I don't mean by a couple $100 a year. We got people, wow, they made $32,000 last year in royalty share books, and they don't do a royalty share anymore. That's an accrued asset, something
Yep.
that keeps growing. And
Yep.
if it's per finished hour, and you become the narrator of choice, you're easy to work with, you know what the heck you're doing, you know how to handle clients, and which who here ever worked on radio, guys? Hands? Okay. I know the way you handle your general manager is, okay, and then just try never to see that person again. That the way you handle a rights holder, especially an author, is to become really the producer of the project and the person that they look to handle everything. So they're not messing around and saying, no, why don't you do it this way? I mean, you get instructions from them, you get feedback and approval, but they're not nitpicking everything, or they're not saying, well, would you do it for less this time and next time I'll pay you more. We go through a whole segment on that, which is simply dealing with the rights holders. And I don't mean in a manipulative way, I mean in a way that is good for you and is good for the rights holder who is willing to pay for premium work. So
Yep.
I get a little passionate about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things that we provide with the course is a collection of messaging templates that I use with my rights holders. So if you don't know what to say, if you don't know how to be a project leader, if you don't know how to be a manager of a process like that, we walk you through that, as well as everything else you need to be successful at building a business on ACX with audiobooks, and then to take that, all of that stuff that we teach you, and then apply it to other publishers, other producers, other platforms, the big five, and to take that skill set and really take advantage of the acting abilities that you have that you want to do audiobooks with. I see people asking questions. Russ is saying me, LOL.
I don't think that's a question.
No, it is me,
Oh,
LOL. He just left off the question mark at the end, Dan.
I see. It was
I don't know
an
if you
implied.
understand how the kids today do their
It's an
stuff.
implied question mark.
It's an implied question,
Implicit.
yeah. So if you were to talk to somebody who says, "Oh no, AI, that's it, we're done. AI, that's all there is," what would you say to them in terms of what you've seen other people say? What you like? I know that you're constantly online. You're up late scrolling.
And
What
I
have
like to get into arguments with strangers online. It's
you do a great job of it
a
too. I just want
fun
to,
thing.
yeah. What have you found that you can share with us that are misconceptions about AI and about the world of audiobooks?
Yeah, I actually compiled some quotes. These are direct quotations. Well, ACX used to make us some decent money, but they've cut back on royalties, prices, and quality over the last few years. Well, they haven't cut back on royalties for a long time, and prices actually can be a little. A narrator can make more money with Audible giving away your audiobook than with selling it. So which might sound crazy, but there's a reason. So that just sounds to me like somebody doesn't quite understand how it works. Even at a successful level, most narrators are making between $150 and $200 per finished hour. And for those of you not familiar with the term, it's just what it sounds like. But if it's a 10-hour book, then you charge $150 per finished hour, you're going to get paid $1,500 and no royalties. So, David, are most narrators making between 150 and 200 per finished hour?
Well, I think it depends on the narrator. It depends on their skill set and so on. And there are some that are making a lot more, as well as many that are making a lot less, mostly because they don't have the courage to charge what they're worth.
Yeah. The and I learned this a long time ago, way before audiobooks. It's it's natural to feel really nervous about telling your clients you're raising your rates because if you're doing something that you really like to do, deep inside you, here's what the conversation deep inside. I can't believe they're paying me anything to do this, you know. And so that's going on, but you decide it's time to raise your rates, and if you will lose about 20% of your client base, and you'll free up a big chunk of your time to make more money. Um, I have a friend who's very, very famous in probably the biggest name in direct marketing circles. And he once said, and he's very, very expensive, extremely expensive. And he once said, the hardest thing about raising your rates is keeping a straight face when you tell your clients. Because inside you're thinking, hey, this is fun. It's fun, hopefully, but it has value, and that's what you've got to go by. Um, I think it's safe to say that most of our graduates do not make between 150 and 200 per finished hour. I mean, if we had somebody had become a veteran, they've gone through it, they do good work, and they're still charging, 200 per finished hour, we'd kind of be pushing them a little bit. Hey, don't you think it's time? You know, because the fact is, if you're right now you're getting paid $200 per finished hour, and you get up the nerve to bump it up to 400, the next level to 400. Guess what? You've just doubled your income if you are able to maintain the same number of clients.
Yep.
So, yeah, I get passionate about that. Paid work is very competitive there. You'll be going up against seasoned professionals with dozens or hundreds of books under their belt. Parenthesis, like me. So he's not biased. So there you go. Just understand it's gonna be really, really tough because you got pros like me.
Mm-hmm.
David, sounds like a realistic argument to me. What do you got to say?
When I hear or see, everybody has their own viewpoint. Everybody has their own perspective. I get that. I think that some people sometimes make statements online to wave off competition, to position themselves as experts, sometimes successfully, sometimes not. I have a feeling that it's different for everybody. It depends on your experience level. It depends on the genre that you're working in. It depends on how much time you have, whether it's a side hustle or whether it's the main thing that you do. One of the things that I do is I serve on the audiobook narrator steering committee for SAG-AFTRA, and that represents a chunk of people that is very different from the group of people that aren't professional actors, that aren't union members, that feel like audiobooks are easy. So, um, and they have a different approach to things in terms of, this is work. This is what I love to do. It's my work. It's my job, as opposed to it's the thing I brag about at the pool party on the weekends. I narrate audiobooks. Oh, do you?
Right.
Interesting.
Really, what are some of the titles? Well, yeah, you don't need to
Right.
talk about that right now.
Right.
Now, this is from one. There's a thread about a long thread about audiobooks, and this one guy was warning people away from it because his experience was 30 auditions and no luck. So obviously, it's impossible to succeed
Because he
in
couldn't succeed.
audiobooks on ACX because he had 30 auditions and didn't book anything. Hey, I know some would-be actors who have had 100 auditions and can't get a commercial, nothing.
200.
Before you got your first thing, or not
No,
you?
no.
Okay.
Just the average SAG-AFTRA active, not I joined SAG in 1978 and I haven't done anything since, but the average active union member, 220 auditions before a booking on average.
And so this guy, and this is sadly a common attitude that you see a lot of online, is I couldn't succeed at it, therefore it's a ripoff. You can't succeed at it. As opposed to, yeah, I wasn't able to do it. Must have done something wrong. Now I guarantee that this guy didn't do anything about researching titles. I guarantee that he uses or used the same editing method that he learned when he was in radio or doing voiceover, something like that, which, if you do punch and roll, people love being able to say, yeah, I do punch and roll. It's an acquired skill, and a lot of people can't. They haven't learned it yet. But it's disappointing to me how many people think it's impossible for there ever to be any other faster way to record and edit audio than the way I'm doing it now. And
maybe we should keep this quiet, Dan. Maybe I'm rethinking all this. Maybe I should just keep this really quiet and not share it with my students and not share it with you, big mouth Dan O'Day, and not share it with the world. And that way, less competition for me. I can get more work done. The people that already know about it, okay, they can get more work done, but maybe we should just keep it quiet.
Yeah, but what you're overlooking, David, is that people who have not learned your method yet, there are a lot of old pros, who set up their studios 30 years ago when it cost 30 grand, and they're, big investment. They a lot of money on the, best mics and everything, and absolutely they should be proud of it. But they fail to realize things have changed. And they're not going to, my point is, you can say it all you want, they're not going to believe you. When we teach the editing method, and when I say we, I mean David, because David invented it. It's on Audacity, which is a free workstation that I use anyway. And it's just this brilliant system. And if you've ever heard any of our students talking about it again and again, I can't believe how easy that was. And in fact, if you get a chance, if you go to acxmasterclass.com/course, Kudos, Kudos, you'll see a couple of hundred people talking about their experiences. And again, you can feel the relief that they felt in week 3 when they saw, oh my gosh, yeah, I can do that. And so as far as results, I don't know. Last I heard on Audible on ACX's site on the homepage, it says that the average narrator, it takes 6 to 7 hours of work to produce 1 hour of audio. So six or
Sometimes
seven.
when they do that survey, it's 10 hours. Sometimes.
I've never seen. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, so and our students, we haven't done a survey where we got every single person to tell us how long it takes them, but it's pretty clear our students average 3 to 4 hours per finished hour, and that's the average. We've got some who, I'm not going to say how fast they do it because it really bugs me that they get the work done so fast.
Yeah.
Remember the guy, we won't name him, but remember the time that guy posted that he just finished a recording session and it was 1 hour, 15 minutes per finished hour?
It was, I want to make sure people are including everything from proofing to pickups to mastering. And we saw a little bit of an uptick in the ratio when I introduced Audio Cupcake, which is now drag and drop mastering. So you finish your edit and then you drag and drop your WAV file onto Audio Cupcake and it spits out the final MP3 that you need. Russ is asking if it works with Adobe Audition with 2 question marks, Dan. 2 question marks to make up for the lack of question marks before. And the answer is no.
Makes sense.
It does not. We teach you Adobe, we teach you Audacity. And the good news is Audacity and Adobe Audition can both sit on your hard drive and be available to you simultaneously. So you don't have to use Adobe Audition for everything. If you have questions about audiobooks, about ACX, about Audible, about the business, about the tech, about the performance of things, pop them in the chat below like Russ Jenkins just did, and we'll be happy to answer them in the time that we have left on this. We got about 20 minutes to go.
I think, David, we should explain why, we're saying no, it won't work on Audacity.
No.
David,
it will work on Audacity. It won't work in Adobe
I'm
Audition.
sorry, it won't work on Adobe Audition. Forgive me. They both start with A's, and I get confused by the alphabet. David realized or discovered that boy, I don't know where to start here. That Audacity has a little feature built into it that just doesn't happen to be in other platforms. It's not like it's a better feature. It's just there's an extra door over there that we can enter through. And that's what David spotted and takes advantage of. It's not that we don't like Adobe or Pro Tools or anything else. Now, David,
You're leaving me hanging, Dan. Here's the thing.
Okay.
I would certainly, I spent years and years and years using Pro Tools for everything that I do. Multi-track recording, multi-track production, single-track production. It's the most common software used in the industry when you go to a studio somewhere and you're being recorded by a big publisher for audiobooks. They're going to be using most of the time Audacity. Some of them use Twisted Wave. Some of them use, using Pro Tools. Some of them use Adobe Audition. Some of them use other pieces of software if they're on PCs. None of them use Audacity, and I think that it's a huge mistake. But I look at how we do our work at home. And when you go to, if you're an on-camera person and you're auditioning and you go to a casting office somewhere, they're not going to be using phones to to record you for your. They're going to be using a regular camera. And so how we do things at home is often very different from how people do things at the studio. The end result is just as good, just as good. Not better,
Yeah.
not worse, but just as good.
Now, when you're talking about recording voice, straightforward voice, if you were to record an orchestra, I'm not sure
Would
that
not
I would
use
use
Audacity.
Audacity.
No, I would not. But I'm not
But
doing that. I'm recording
yeah,
single track, mono, dry voice tracks. And there is a digital standard for that, that Pro Tools meets, that Adobe Audition meets, that Studio One meets, and that Audacity meets. Exactly the same. No different. No better, no worse. But as Dan was talking about, the behavior in Audacity, when it creates a new track, was something that I just took advantage of, and it's worked out just fine. Here's hoping they never change that behavior.
yeah.
That would be awful. But we teach you that in the course. We teach you that. We teach you how to build your business on ACX, as Dan mentioned. We teach you about how to avoid the scams. We teach you how to take care of your rights holders so that you become their reliable narrator of choice. We teach you how to determine whether or not projects are worth your time. We show you how to say, okay, this project probably I want to do on a per finished hour basis. So if they're offering it to me on royalty share, I'm either going to ask them to change their offer or I'm going to politely decline. If this is going to be a really popular one and they want to pay me per finished hour, maybe I want to ask them if they want to, perhaps consider royalty share. I pay a good portion of my monthly mortgage based on the royalty share payments that I've been earning from ACX for the last 14 years. And I continue to find projects that do that.
But David, you've left out, all those things that we teach. You've left out the one that if they don't get that right, they're wasting their time with everything else.
Oh, that you teach them how to do their profiles?
The simplest sounds like the simplest thing in the world, the profile.
Yeah.
And if those of you who have been on ACX, you know this. You have to create a profile. You know what 99.9% of people who go on to ACX use for a profile if they've been in the business in some way, voiceover, radio, broadcasting, something, they simply put up their resume. Well, the profile doesn't exist to list your credits. The profile exists for when, I'm going to say author, because that's the most common rights holder, kind of rights holder you're going to come into, but it could be anybody. Let's say author. If an author is looking for someone to record his or her audiobook, especially if it's a first audiobook, they are terrified. They don't know anything about it. It's a huge mystery. And the number one thing they're looking for is somebody they can trust to do a really good job, handle the whole project. And if your profile doesn't invite them in and doesn't talk to them and address their concerns, talk about in your own way, talk about how this, when I teach copywriting classes, there's a very old acronym that I did not make up, but I still teach when I do copywriting, which is the wham factor. Are you familiar with not the two-person group? Are you familiar with wham as it applies? Wham is why, and it helps if there's something I can write this on the back because it's really dramatic. Why and how does this affect me? Now, in advertising, it's me, the consumer, who's reading, seeing, or hearing this ad. With a profile, it's, okay, great, all this stuff here, how's that help me? And I don't know, it seems like to me like it should be so obvious, but most people take as much time creating their profile as they do when they open a new Gmail account. You just fill it in, bam. You know,
Yep.
put up if I got a photo, fine. Put up everything I've done, whether it's relevant or not, and don't worry about they never give a thought to the rights holder. Every single rights holder who lands on your page on ACX does so because they're hoping you're going to be the one. They're not. It's not like the image of a casting agent going through hundreds of tapes, looking for the best. They're looking for somebody. Okay, I hear his work, great. I see the credits, great. And he's convinced me that he can do this for me. And the analogy that always comes to mind for me is if you have ever needed to hire a plumber to come to your house, or well, probably not apartment. Hopefully the apartment owner took care of that. But if you're a homeowner and you need a plumber bad, and you don't know you don't know anything about plumbing, are you looking for the best plumber in town? Or are you looking for the person who you can trust to come and do a good professional job, fix the problem at a reasonable price? And he's not going to rip you off. And
Right.
I'll tell you, first time I needed a plumber, worked out great. That name is still in the Rolodex. And if I got a plumbing problem, I don't go on to Yelp. I just go right to my Rolodex plumber, call them. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about becoming the narrator of choice for an author. If
Sure.
someone devotes himself exclusively to sci-fi, and you recorded a sci-fi book for him or her, and they were really pleased with the end product and with the process with you, like it was so easy working with you, and they were happy with the results, they're not going to start all over looking at other profiles. They're going to contact you. They're going to hope you're still doing this. They might be hoping you haven't raised your rates yet. And if you're still there, and that's it. It's a done deal. And I think that's one of the huge differences between people who really succeed with audiobooks in general, and especially on ACX, and people who it's just a waste of time. It's a grind.
Yep. Yep.
I'm sorry.
Uh,
I know I get a little passionate about this. I'm sorry.
yeah, you do go on. Performing arts educator says, just got on. David, your mic is echoing. Dan's mic is fine. Here's the thing. Dan is
Aha.
hard of hearing, and
What?
Dan needs to turn his speakers up so loud that it does feedback.
Wait.
I
Let me
don't.
say that again.
Yeah, exactly. So we know, we talked about it earlier, but thank you for sharing. Sherry says, you scared me when you said it wouldn't work on Audacity, and hopefully we corrected that. But the notion that the world of ACX is somehow impenetrable, or is no longer a viable solution or a viable option for people who are making their living as a performer. We've discussed the AI stuff. We've discussed the business building on ACX. And the truth of the matter is that we show you how to avoid that, take advantage of your ability as a performer to do great work, and we show you how to build that business on ACX. And the ACX Master Class registration is closing as of tomorrow night at 9 o'clock as we're doing this live. So it's Thursday afternoon here on the West Coast. Friday night at 9 p.m. Pacific time, it ends, and we start the class on Monday. So we're
Yeah.
pretty excited about that. Dan, I want to thank you for doing the assembly work that you've done to find all these things and to sort of address the fears that people have. For those of you that have watched, if you're interested in building a business on ACX and building a business as an audiobook narrator, we'd love to have you. acxmasterclass.com/go is where you'll find all the information on our class. Do you have any last words, Dan?
If we had had more time, we would have talked about the fact that when you join the class, you're also invited to join our mastermind group, which is by now is several hundred successful audiobook narrators. And one of the beautiful things about that, the most beautiful thing is how giving they are, how freely they share what they've learned. But one of the beautiful things is you're going to run into a problem somewhere along the way in your audiobook narration career. It might be technical, it might be, all kinds of things. And when you run into that and you post something on the mastermind group saying, "Hey, this is what's happening. Any ideas?" There are people who've already gone through that, and they already went through the pain that you're suffering now, and they're just going to give you the answer without you having to continue going through the pain. And
Yep.
it's the I have said this repeatedly. My unbiased opinion is it's the single best mastermind group in the entire world. And I've checked out every mastermind group in
I
the
know.
world.
I know you have.
Yeah,
So you're saying if we had the time to share that with people, we would have shared
yeah,
the
but
fact we're
we
going to have
don't.
the time, but we don't have
Yeah,
the time.
darn.
So we don't have the time to share just how good our mastermind group is, how supportive they are, how enthusiastic they are, how mutually beneficial it is to have the same kind of
And
people, but we don't have the time
how
to
much
share
they
that.
want to help. That's what really impresses me each time. It's, because I know, and they're all invariably, these are the people who are the busiest working, and they'll stop what they're doing to write up, a paragraph or two, say, do this. If that doesn't work, do this. It
Or
takes a
they'll
little time.
direct
They
you
could
to
be,
where it is in the class that you can review.
yeah, yeah. And that's the other, when you join, I mean, when you join the class, you we try to cover every aspect, every element of audiobook narration possible. And in addition to the live classes themselves, which are audio and video recorded, you can go back to them whenever you want. Tons and tons of materials that we have created on video, on audio, PDF downloads, and you have access to that forever.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have that problem that we talked about in one of the classes saying, if you ever run into this, here's what you do. Well, you might have forgotten, wait, what was I supposed to do? You go check, and there it
Sure.
is. I wish we
Yeah.
had time to talk about that.
Yeah, but we don't. Sherry says, when does the new Facebook group open? Monday. I'm going to be on this journey with you again this round. It has been 11 years since I first started with you. Time for a refresher. Oh, we remember Sherry Hewitt.
Oh,
So
yes, of course.
the class opens on Monday. We're going to be matriculating everybody over the weekend.
Right.
And I'm assuming that Sherry is a lifetime member. Those people show up. It's just great. But it starts on Monday, and you should have gotten, if you're a lifetime member of the class, you should have gotten a message today telling you that. So that'll happen for you. Dan,
Sometime over the weekend.
I so wish we had more time to do this, but we don't. And I'm looking forward to getting the class started. We're doing a whole new night's worth of live narration performance coaching on Tuesday nights that we've added to the course in the last year. So much stuff happening.
To be clear, how many nights have we added, David?
4 total, one each
Because
week.
you said we've added one night.
Yeah, one night
And
each
I know
week.
you meant per week.
Yeah.
But
Sherry says she is a lifetime member. So
there you go.
There you go. All right, go to acxmasterclass.com/go. Dan will turn his speakers down now since he doesn't need to hear me anymore. And we'll be off to the races. Thank you so much for joining us, Dan. Any last words before we head out?
No. If you got yes. Last words are, if you want to narrate audiobooks and you haven't known how, or you've been afraid, or you've been waiting for a more convenient time, there never is a more convenient time. You're waiting for that time when nothing's going on in your life and you're bored sitting around, nothing to watch on Netflix. Yeah, that ain't coming. If this is what you want, then I invite you to take that bold step forward, and we'd love to see you.
Yeah.
And thank you,
All right.
David.
Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.